I think this is the most energized group I've seen for the Friday Medal in a long time. This is really great. And I think it's a tribute to our awardee and the esteem that everyone holds her to. So welcome everyone on behalf of the College of Education and the William and Ida Friday Institute for Education Innovation. I'm Jane Fleener, and I'm the Dean of the College of Education, and it is my privilege and honor to be able to not only welcome you to this great institute, but also just to be a part of celebrating another educator. This is really always a special event, and we are honored that our recipient, Muriel Thomas Summers, is here not only in person, but with lots of support cast. And so we're looking forward to her presentation in a few minutes with her students. Muriel is nationally recognized for leadership excellence as the principal of A.B. Combs Elementary School here in Raleigh. I'd like to take a moment to remember Bill Friday, for whom this medal is named. And he was a leader whose legacy will always be an inspiration for education and educators. We are proud that our research institute bears his name and that we will plan and vouch to plan to continue to innovate in the field of education. It is an honor also to have members of his family here, and we certainly appreciate your continued support. We have Lila Friday, Fran, is coming. She will be here, and Sarah Lamb, who will be here, is Lila's daughter. And we definitely appreciate your presence. Could we give the Fridays a hand? And you know, anything that has to do with Bill Friday also has to do with Virginia Taylor, because Virginia was Mr. Friday's assistant, and she continues to be the go-to person on just about anything that is supported by Mr. Friday's legacy. So Virginia, welcome. Also, I believe here tonight is Rob Bruce, who's the director of the Friday Center. He couldn't make it. I hadn't seen him yet, but we were very pleased that he had planned to come, since we sometimes either get Friday Center folks coming here or we have events here where people show up in Chapel Hill. And so we do have a little bit of a relationship there. And certainly without the vision of Bill and Ida Friday, neither of these fine institutes would have been possible. And then, of course, special thanks to the Fridays and the Friday family for everything you've done for the College of Education specifically and the Friday Institute. The Friday Institute was established to promote innovative approaches to educational challenges that we face in the 21st century. And the college is very proud to have this well-renowned center associated with it. Faculty and students affiliated with the Friday Institute are developing, evaluating, and disseminating innovative approaches to teaching and learning that are made possible by multimedia and networked technologies. The Friday Institute plays an important role in education innovation and the improvement in North Carolina through its work in education research, practice, and policy. None of this, of course, is possible without the support of our friends and without the outstanding leadership of Dr. Glenn Kleiman, Executive Director of the Friday Institute. Glenn, do you want to? We were a little worried that Glenn would not make it. He had this little event at the White House today and just flew in, so we're really excited to hear more about that activity. Part of the Friday legacy is the Friday Fellows program that was introduced last year here at the Friday Medal Ceremony. The Friday Fellows is a prestigious program that enables NC State to attract exceptionally capable and dedicated students who will complete their doctoral degrees while contributing to the work of the Friday Institute. These unique experiences help prepare them to make their contributions to education in the state and nation. So this year, we have 2 more Friday Fellows, and we want to congratulate, although I only believe one of them could be here, but if you could please stand when I call your name. Congratulations to Eliza Nicole Corin, PhD candidate in science education. And Shay Nicole Kirchhoff, is Shay here? I didn't think she was, is a PhD candidate in curriculum and instruction with a focus in literacy. We're really excited to have an opportunity to honor these great students and to support them as they complete their dissertations. I thank all of you for being here tonight to help us recognize and celebrate the work and contributions of Muriel Summers. Tonight we celebrate a legacy for leaders and innovators in education across North Carolina and the nation. We're lucky to have 2 of our previous Friday Medal honorees in attendance here tonight, and I would also like them to stand and be acknowledged. Now I know I saw Dr. Bill McNeil, the 2011 honoree. And Ken, there he is, right next to him, and Dr. Ken Branch, the 2006 honoree. Finally, I want to thank the members of the College of Education Advisory Board and the National Advisory Board of the Friday Institute for their support and service to the college. I'd also like to welcome and recognize Ann Goodnight, both a member of the Friday Institute Board of Advisors as well as the Board of Governors. So, Ann. I'd also like to recognize Kathy Moore, Deputy Superintendent for School Performance for the Wake County Schools. And I saw her, there she is. And we also have our school board member who represents this district. And would you wave your hand? So if you have questions about, where your students are going next, you can save those for later. Thank you, and Bill Fletcher. Any other board members here? Thank you. I don't get, since I don't have Cox anymore, I don't get to watch you guys on TV every night. So, darn. Yeah. Well, that is true. It's not nearly as interesting. I also see in the audience a lot of my NC State colleagues and education friends from the community. And it really means a lot to me and to the Friday Institute that you're here to celebrate not only another educator, but to support the work of the Friday Institute. We're also very excited, and I think that's why we have this great energy tonight, to have the students from A.B. Combs here. And many of them greeted you as you came in. We had a wonderful musical performance as you came in. And I would like all of the students, teachers, administrators, both past and present, from A.B. Combs to please stand. Muriel, that is your legacy. NC State is home to high-performing students, solution-driven research, and exceptional faculty and staff that lead extraordinary programs in learning and discovery. We stand strong under this think and do mantra that you hear. Think and do is at the very core, I think, of what this institute represents. It is not only a part of who we are, I think, but it inspires us to do better. Educators transform the lives of many by serving and instilling inspiration and providing service to their communities. And that is also the legacy of the Friday Institute. So I'd like to, at this time, introduce Dr. Hiller Spires, founding director of the Friday Institute, and also instrumental in the planning way back before the Friday Institute was even a building, thinking about programs, professor in the College of Education. I'd like to introduce Hiller to the podium to introduce our honoree. Thank you.
We are delighted to have Muriel Summers as the recipient of the Friday Medal Award. I've known Muriel now for well over a decade as a professional colleague and also as a parent at A.B. Combs Elementary. I think the best way to understand Muriel's magic, is what I like to call it, her magic, is to visit A.B. Combs and see learning and community in action. Under Muriel's leadership, Combs just received the National Magnet Award for the second time. A.B. Combs is an extraordinary school. It's, in Peter Sinjay's terms, a true learning organization. As a teacher educator and as a parent at the school, I've watched over the years as A.B. Combs has embraced the best educational practices, embodying them in how they support student learning and how they support teacher professional development. A.B. Combs' mission to develop global leaders, one child at a time. It doesn't just hang on the wall. The mission is in each student and staff member's heart, mind, and in their actions. Let me share just a few observations. First, one core value that I'm impressed with is how Combs community builds on the strengths and talents of their students and staff. At Combs, everyone has a talent. No one is exempt and no one can hide out. For example, when Muriel has Leadership Day, in which educators from all over the world come to learn and understand the leadership model that is in place there, all 800 students in some way have a part to play in the Leadership Day. The Combs teachers and staff are truly inspirational to me. They consistently exhibit intellectual curiosity, the will to keep caring for students even after you're exhausted, and the creative ingenuity to support every student's engagement and learning. Second, another value that Muriel displays, and one that I have learned from her, is how to listen to students. Students are one of our most valuable resources as we create innovative models of education for a quickly changing society. Muriel and her staff listen to children, and you're going to see an example of that tonight. And they bring them into the creative process of designing and redesigning the school culture. Third, if you go to Combs, you may see students and staff wearing a t-shirt that has 212 degrees on it. This is a concept that signifies the very best of Combs' learning culture. Muriel has explained the idea this way to me. At 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, it boils. And with boiling water comes steam. And steam can power a locomotive. 1 extra degree makes all the difference. And that 1 extra degree of effort separates the good from the great. And I think Jim Collins would like that. I'll close with one vivid memory of Muriel in action. And this goes back, Muriel, to when we were creating the Friday Institute over a decade ago. I don't know if you remember. We were holding a retreat for the faculty downtown at Explorers Museum at the time, and the retreat was called Innovation, Creativity, and Collaboration. Well, I wanted to do something special for the faculty because they'd been working so diligently, and so I asked Muriel if she would have a few of her students join us, the choral students join us, and provide a surprise at lunch for the faculty and do a song. I had heard them sing before, and they were outstanding. She said, "Of course, we'll be there." Well, on the day of the retreat, I was expecting a few students to show up. Lo and behold, the door opens, and in walks 80 of Muriel's students. She had gotten the buses from Wake County, and here they come, and they come into the room and encircle the faculty, go all the way around the faculty, and this was a surprise. The faculty didn't know what was happening. And they had their flags. They had 80 flags, which represented some 80 countries that are represented at the school. The performance was an inspiration to everyone. The faculty who had been working very hard to create the concept and the research agenda for the Friday Institute. Well, that was Muriel in action. She told me that she wanted her students to have a part in inspiring the vision for the Friday Institute because she knew that it was going to be a beacon for educational innovation in Mr. Friday's name. I think that event was a prime example of Muriel and her students putting the 212-degree principle in action. Congratulations, Muriel, on receiving the Friday Medal. I've often heard Mr. Friday say that we need more creativity in schools. He reminded us all the time that at the FI that we needed to put creativity into action and not let it sit on the shelf. You do that every day at A.B. Combs, and for that, we thank you. We're honored now to have a video message from Sean Covey.
Hello, everyone. This is Sean Covey here, and I'm the son of Dr. Stephen R. Covey, and I'm also the author of The 7 Habits of Happy Kids, and I lead Franklin Covey's education practice. I wanted to come on camera today before all of you, and I wanted to congratulate Muriel Summers on getting this amazing award for being a fantastic educator, the William B. Friday Award. Congratulations, Muriel, and this is such a wonderful, wonderful award and accomplishment. And I wanted just to say a couple of things about Muriel, if that's okay. I first visited A.B. Combs Elementary about 6.5, 7 years ago. And this was the first time I had met Muriel, and she had been named the #1 magnet school in the country. Her school, A.B. Combs, was named that. And I didn't know what to expect, but I heard about her, and I heard how she was teaching leadership to young children, so I wanted to go and see what was going on. So I went to what they call a leadership day, where she opens up her school to the community. And I went in, and they had an assembly, they had a lot of skits, they had children singing, giving speeches. We then went and visited classes. We were able to meet the kids. They greeted us. They took us around on tours of the school. We looked at their leadership notebooks, their data notebooks, where they kept track of all of their goals and all of their data. It was just amazing. Most importantly, you could feel something. It was tangible. You could feel the culture, the love, the great care and concern they all had for children, the great belief they had in children. I was just blown away by the whole thing. I came home and I said to my wife, I said, Rebecca, we need to change schools. What I just saw today was amazing. She said, what was different? And I said, well, honestly, there was a belief by the principal and by every staff member in that school that every child was a genius, that every child had greatness in them. They found ways of celebrating the unique gifts of every child. So Muriel did an amazing thing. She was in a desperate situation where her school was going to be, her magnet status was going to be taken away. In this desperate situation, she decided to talk with parents and talk with business leaders about what they wanted out of their children coming out of school. And from that, she developed this leadership model. The 7 Habits is part of that leadership model, but there's a lot of other things that she put into that leadership model. And it's been amazing, the impact of this one school now. It started with a few other schools copying the model. It's now gone on to hundreds of schools, and now almost 2,000 schools in 25 countries have copied this organic model that teaches children that they can be leaders, that tells them every day that they've got gifts and talents, that provides opportunities for them to lead, to take on leadership roles in the school, that this process reinvents the look and feel, the environment of the school. It's just an incredible thing that she's done. And so her influence is across the world. It's in Indonesia, it's in India, it's in Brazil. In fact, there are 200 Leader in Me schools in Brazil now because of Muriel's influence. And Muriel If you get to know her, she loves children. Her intent, her desires are so pure and so good, and it's all about taking every single child and believing in them and equipping them with these 21st century skills, in addition to the core academics, which she emphasizes as well. But it also is adding to core academics this whole idea of every child has got greatness and gifts, and we can teach every child how to lead their own lives. So, again, just wanted to come on camera as a friend of Muriel Summers to congratulate her in front of all of you. And Muriel, we're proud of you. We wish you the best, and take care. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. Stephen Covey once said, be a light, not a judge. Be a model, not a critic. When I came in this afternoon, Muriel said, are you going to cry? And she said, because I am if you are. So I'm trying not to cry, Muriel, okay? So we're going to start over again, all right? Sean Covey's father said, be a light, not a judge. Be a model, not a critic. I am grateful to be part of this ceremony today to celebrate Muriel, who is both a light and a model. Any opportunity to celebrate her is an honor. There are lots of folks from Wake County Schools in this room today, and I'm going to call out a few of their names. Not everyone's name, but a few people I need to call out. I need to call out Karen Hamilton, who's the Assistant Superintendent of Special Education. I'm not going to make her stand up. I need to call out Lloyd Gardner, who's Southern Area Superintendent. I need to call out Dr. Beth Cochran, who's the Senior Director of Magnet and Curriculum Enhancement Programs for our school system. I need to call out Dr. Ruth Steidinger, who is the Senior Director of Academic Program and Support. And formerly of Wake County Schools, I need to call out Dr. Liz Colbert, who is now the Executive Director of the North Carolina Virtual Public School. I call out these people because the six of us came of age with Muriel as principals in the Wake County school system. Not only did we work together, but we traveled together, we learned together. At one point, we shared the same boss who gave us Christmas presents that we continue to pull out every year because they are such amusing gifts. And we have them in a box, and every year we pull them out and laugh at them. Most importantly, over the years, we grew together. And as we did, Muriel always inspired us. We watched as she moved into the leadership position at A.B. Combs Elementary School. And we witnessed as she dreamed a new program for a struggling school. She faced daunting odds and could easily have been deterred. Many of us would have been deterred, but not her. She approached Dr. Covey. In my original draft of this, I had she cornered Dr. Covey. But someone last night gave me the advice to change that, so I changed it, Muriel. But those of us who know her know she cornered him. She approached Dr. Covey after listening to him present and shared her interest in how his teachings around the 7 habits might be integrated into the lives of her teachers and her students. Our beloved Fred lovingly became a dog with a bone, and the story began. Over the past 15 years or so, Muriel has shaped small children into great leaders, thousands of them. She's a trailblazer in figuring out how we develop in young students a sense of responsibility and an ability to initiate, an understanding of the power of goal setting, the capacity to negotiate conflict and solve problems, and maybe most important, the desire to connect with and learn from others who are from different backgrounds and cultures. Many of us, as Hitler shared, have had the opportunity to observe this in action. We have visited Combs on regular school days, as well as those special occasions designated leadership days. We have observed in her classrooms. We have read to her children in celebration of Dr. Seuss's birthday. We have been interviewed by her kids. We've heard them make presentations, we have enjoyed their singing, and we've watched them dance. I had the professional pleasure of learning from many of her students as they came to the middle school next door while I was principal. In addition to her work at Combs, Muriel travels this important path in her personal life. And again, I quote Dr. Covey. I think the most significant work we'll do in their whole life, in our whole world, is done within the four walls of our home. Muriel's the mother of two near-perfect children. One of them is here. Her daughter, Banks, is well on her way to becoming a master teacher and makes her mother very proud. Her son, Colin, please. This is Colin. Her son, Colin, will soon graduate from Wake Forest University. This young man, who has the most handsome smile east of the Mississippi, has a bright future ahead. Colin serves as his mother's right hand on a daily basis as she cares for her aging mother, Miss Becky. Miss Becky lives in a senior residence just down the hall from Mr. and Mrs. Branch. So we commiserate often there at Independence Village. In fact, just last night. Muriel is with her mother every morning to ensure a smooth start to the day. And she is with her every evening to help bring that day to a quiet close. I stopped by to visit Miss Becky recently. Muriel was out of town for a day. And she shared with me, Miss Becky shared with me, just full of pride, her daughter's accomplishments as she described Muriel's work on the recent publication of the revised The Leader in Me. Miss Becky, like her daughter, is so kind and loving. Finally, Muriel is the perfect friend. She's compassionate, supportive, generous, and devoted. Everyone here just loves her. We all just love her. In closing these introductory comments, I want to remind everyone that the Friday Institute represents the belief that education is the foundation to strengthening communities and enhancing quality of life, a belief that was represented throughout the lives and work of Mr. and Mrs. Bill Friday. Some years ago, in an interview for a magazine article, Mr. Friday was asked about his dedication to the state of North Carolina, about his lengthy career in public service. He said that his motive was simple. He explained that he wanted to have the right answers to soul-searching questions asked in the still of the night. Did I reach out as far as I could? Did I serve as many people as I could? Did I give back as much as I could? And did I do this with conviction? He said to the interviewer, if you can say those things, if you can answer yes to those things, then you'll have made a difference in this world. So our colleague and friend Muriel can answer all those questions, yes. She has made a difference in the lives of thousands of children here in Wake County and has extended her reach, as Sean Covey shared, to students and educators across our nation and to countries around the world. She inspires so many. She is indeed a light and a model, and we congratulate her today.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Thank you.
There's a lot that Dr. Branch and I share in common, and one of those is that we have a hard time pulling ourselves together. So I have taken classes on how not to cry in front of other people. I need to ask for a refund. So I'm going to go ahead and say tonight that I am so honored and so proud and so humbled by this recognition. Thank you so much, Dr. Kleinman. I mean, you were in Washington, D.C. for pity's sake today, and for you to be here this afternoon, thank you so much. To Dean Fleener, thank you. Thank you for the work that you do in the College of Education. You are making such a difference, and we are all the better for it. I would also like to thank the College of Education, my friend and mentor and colleague, Dr. Spires, to Marge Santora, who I know will be so grateful when this event is over. She has done an amazing job. Thank you, Marge, so much. To the staff of the Friday Institute, to Kathy Moore and to Roseanne Gonzalez, to the Wake County Public School System at large, to Bill Fletcher and to Dr. Martin, our tireless school board members, thank you for what you do. To the parents and to the students and the staff of A.B. Combs, I love you. I am who I am because of you. Our parents did not get a chance to stand earlier, and our school would not be the school without you. So would you please stand so we can acknowledge you now? And to Ann Goodnight, whose love for education and the arts and your generous spirit is unmatched. Thank you for the difference you have made in education. I would also like to thank my two children, Banks and Colin, who have and continue to be my constant source of inspiration. I'm so proud of you, and I am so proud to be your mother. Thank you. And I would certainly be remiss if I did not acknowledge the many, many contributions of Dr. and Mrs. Friday. Their contributions in the field of education have made such a difference, not only in our state, but in our nation. I am so honored to have my name in a very small way associated with Mr. Friday and Mrs. Friday's name. And to Dr. Friday's family, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I'm so honored by your presence. I have to share a story with you that happened almost 38 years ago. It was at UNC Chapel Hill in Carmichael Auditorium. I was a freshman, and we had freshman orientation. The auditorium, the gym was full of eager freshmen, excited freshmen, scared freshmen, and we were sitting there watching a slide presentation of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And it doesn't get much better when James Taylor is singing. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. It was just an electrifying feeling that night. But as we were sitting there, all of a sudden there was a silence across the room. And a man bigger than life walked on stage. We all knew who he was. Not many of us had had the opportunity to be in his presence until that very moment. A man of great integrity, a man that never had to command respect. It was just part of who he was and who we wanted to be. Dr. Friday stepped out on stage, and he started to impart these words of wisdom. And for 38 years, I will never forget how he looked on that stage and the feeling that I felt when I listened to his words. He reminded us that it didn't matter where we came from. It didn't matter how much money was in our pockets. What mattered the most was where we were going. He encouraged us to dream big, to take advantage of every single opportunity to learn and to grow. and he reminded us never to take for granted the gift we had been given, the gift of a great education. He continued to say that knowledge was power, and that no matter what happened to us, no one could ever take away our good education. His wish for us was to search and to hopefully find that which would be our life's calling. I took his words to heart, and I found my voice by majoring in education. We are all where we are today because someone believed in us. Someone took a chance on us, and someone gave us a reason to make a difference. As I look out into this audience, I see so many of you, all of you, who have played such a pivotal role in my life, directly or indirectly, personally or professionally. The only way that I can feel comfortable accepting this incredible award is if you will allow me to share it with you and with these precious students, the amazing staff at A.B. Combs, and our parents. As I said earlier, I am who I am because of you. I have been extremely blessed to have been the principal of this school for almost 17 years, and equally as blessed to work for a district that has allowed our school community to do what the Friday Institute inspires us to do: to create, to innovate, to teach, and to learn. I've been asked to share our school's journey with you. Dr. Branch did a wonderful job giving you a preview. And so if you will allow me, I would love to, just for a moment, sort of say how all of this began. It was in 1999. We were one of the lowest performing elementary schools in our district. There was no clearly defined mission or vision. There was somewhat of a lack of pride for our profession. Teachers were amazing, but they were working in isolation. Our building was in need of repair and in need of a renovation. And at that time, there was very little parent involvement. Dr. Surratt and Mr. McNeil issued us a charge to reinvent ourselves, to come up with a model that was like none other. And I will never forget Dr. Surratt saying, like none other in Wake County, like none other in North Carolina, and better yet, the United States of America. We are often our most creative and innovative when our back is against the wall. And the quote about, whenever there's a challenge, there's an opportunity that awaits, really does capture the essence of our story. You heard, yes, we were charged with reinventing ourselves. I had the incredible opportunity, and it was the time that our district was embracing Edward Stemming's work in the quality movement, to go to Florida and to see that work in action. That happened about the same time Columbine happened. And we came together as a community and as a district and as a state to talk about how we were going to keep our children safe and out of harm's way. For the first time in my career, instead of the school doors being flung open, they were being locked. We were talking about things that we should never really have to talk about in schools. And yet, what had happened as a result of Columbine changed the way that we did business in our schools. Also around that time, so Columbine, the quality movement, and I had $500 left in a principal's discretionary fund. And I heard that Dr. Covey was speaking. he was speaking in Washington, D.C. So I thought, well, I can get up there on this amount, and at that time, remember how long ago it was. I could pay the registration and also the travel and get back. I have to believe that the events that happened that day in Washington, D.C. happened for a reason. You see, at that time, I was facing one of the most incredible professional opportunities to reinvent a school. But I was also facing a very difficult time personally. Banks at that time was 7, and Colin was 5, and I found myself as a single mom. A single mom, how am I going to do this? How am I going to raise these 2 children? And how am I going to reinvent this school? As I sat there and listened to Dr. Covey speak, I was listening with the head of an educator and the heart of a parent. I was also reflecting on Columbine. And as he talked about these habits, I thought, well, if children could learn these habits, perhaps they wouldn't feel so desperate and hopeless to do such violent acts of terror. It was an incredible day, emotional day for me, a day where my mind was racing 1,000,000 miles a minute. I should tell you that when I got to the conference, there wasn't an empty seat anywhere in the room except at the very front of the room. As we say in the South, I sashayed myself right on up to the front table, and I sat down, only to realize there was a sign marked reserved. I made my apologies to the people around me, and they were like, just sit down, just sit down. But I have to believe I was sitting in that seat that day for a reason. I wanted to ask Dr. Covey if you could teach these habits to young children, because that was what was just racing in my mind. And the fact that we had to transform our school and Columbine and quality and how all of that just aligned. And business leaders talking about what makes successful companies. And I'm thinking, well, if that makes a successful company, certainly it should make a successful school, and we should learn from one another and find ways to collaborate. First break rolls around, I didn't have enough courage. And Ryan Lee Parker, you should be telling this story, because tomorrow she's going to be telling it for me in front of 170 people, and I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Tell me if I missed something, okay? Okay. Second break rolls around, still didn't have enough courage. The third and final break of the day, I went up to Dr. Covey, and the conversation was just as short. Dr. Covey, my name is, and I'm the principal of. And do you think you could teach these habits to young children? And he said, well, how little? And I said, 5 to 10 years old. And he smiled, and he said, well, I don't know why not, and if you do anything with it, let me know. Well, I took him up on his word, and I called him, and I called him, and I called him for 5 years. And then I decided I'm just going to stalk him, because there is something so wonderful happening here. And honestly, for the first time in my career, I started to think abundantly. I'm ashamed to say that for most of my teaching career and my early years as a principal, I held my best ideas to myself. I kept them to myself. Now, I would like to think I was a team player from time to time, but I closed my classroom door and I'd do my thing with my students, and I quickly lost the respect of my colleagues, because to be the best, to be competitive at that point in time of my life, embarrassingly, for some reason, was important to me. I have since learned to think abundantly and to give unselfishly and generously to others. I see that demonstrated every single day by the incredible team at A.B. Combs. So, The story ends or begins like this. Dr. Covey didn't come. But then I found out he was presenting at Duke University. Yes, I got online and I saw his speaking circuit. I once again called his office and I said, well, I understand he's going to be at Duke University, and that's just a little old piece down the road from A.B. Combs. I think they finally decided to give in. He said, well, or his secretary said, well, it'll be about 4:30 or 5 before he gets there, and I'm sure school will be out by then. And I said, not for us, it won't be. Dr. Covey came and he saw and he felt. And he decided to write about us in a book called Inspiring Greatness. Dr. Covey's genius was, for that particular book, he decided to take the chapters and create videos related to the chapter. And he used the footage of his visit to A.B. Combs. The phone started to ring off the hook within months after this book being released. And I said, I can't handle this. I'm a school principal. I can't handle this. I said, you all need to write about it. You need to come and visit. You need to come and experience, because something wonderful is happening for children as a result of this work. They decided to come, and they camped out with us off and on for over 2 years. They talked to students, and they talked to parents and community leaders, and the story goes that they were absolutely astounded that the work that was designed for adults could have such an incredible impact on young children. So the question, could these principles be taught to young children? I think we all decided that absolutely they could be. As we look at the global demand for what is required for our students, here's the list. Great problem-solving skills, positive thinking, creativity and innovation, the ability to multitask and to take initiative, to be culturally sensitive, to accept responsibility and understand the importance of working as a team, the importance of empathy, which is now one of the top characteristics of outstanding leaders, their ability to empathize, great communication skills, time management, and professional manners. And yes, social etiquette is very much alive and well at A.B. Combs, and you will see that demonstrated in just a minute. So our incredible staff started to create with no blueprint to follow. They are the real heroes and heroines of this story, not me, them. Tomorrow they will be hosting 170 people from around the world. The teachers at A.B. Combs give more, do more, and care more. And I am so blessed to be part of your team. They started to look at how can we empower children? How can we give them a voice? How can the events that we have be student-directed? And I will tell you, the greatest improvements in our school have come from listening to our children. And I think the moment that we can shift that paradigm, that we work for them, our job is to serve them, education will change. So you heard Sean Covey say that yes, this model is being replicated around the world. I think we're perhaps one of the best little kept secrets in our state, but I don't think we're the best kept secret in other places. People are talking about us all around the world, and there's an incredible responsibility to be everything that people want us and think us to be. What started out in 1999 as one school where the community so believed in our children, believed in ourselves, and the quote, never underestimate what can happen with a committed, passionate group of people. That's what happened at 2001. Lorimer Road. Mr. McNeil, I would be very remiss. I know I made you extremely nervous from time to time. And you allowed me to take those risks. You believed in us, and I will be forever grateful for your leadership. Then there were 8 schools in 2008, and now there are 2,000 schools around the world. So the paradigm of leadership that we have to lead ourselves first before we can ever lead others. Our children are learning that as young as 5 years old. I cannot wait to see what their future holds. Dr. Covey's definition of leadership is communicating people's worth and potential so clearly that they are inspired to see it in themselves. The circle of influence. If we can remember to work within our circle of influence rather than within our circle of concern, great happens when we work on those things that we can influence and not give our energy to those things that we can't. This is a principal. Her name is Kathleen Brockman. She has visited Combs several times. She is a principal of Winchester Elementary School in upstate New York. Kathleen, as I said, visited Combs and wanted to take what she saw at Combs to her school. I want to share this video that is still in the editing stage, but I think it speaks volumes as I so want to honor the work of our teachers. What she saw that day, because of how you taught, how you loved our children, and how you led, this school, she attributes, is the school it is today because of the teachers at A.B. Combs.
Last year, a first grader came to me on the first day of school. I'm sitting in my office, there's a knock on the door, and I look up and there's Cooper. And Cooper walks up to me and says, Mrs. Brockman, all summer long I was thinking about a service learning project that we should be doing here at Winchester. And I was kind of taken aback because he's 7 years old. And I said, well, what were you thinking? And he said to me, well, my mom was telling me about the service learning project for the servicemen and women. It's called Operation Helping Heroes. We can collect expired coupons. He says, do you have any at home? And I said, sure. And he says, well, bring them in. And he says, we're going to collect them and we can donate them to the servicemen to use on the base.
I said, could I ask my teacher, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Stamek, if my class wanted to contribute with the project? And she said that it would be a great idea.
I jumped on the idea right away, and in a matter of no time, Cooper was up and running the program. It was organized. He would go on the morning announcements to remind students to bring in those coupons.
He used to be somewhat shy. At home, he'd be able to express his ideas. But when he was in public, he was somewhat more reserved.
I said, now, Cooper, you have to realize you're going to be responsible for all of this. And he had it all written out. He said he had talked to his mom. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He had a plan.
For Leadership Day, he helped create a PowerPoint presentation and then stood up and presented that to an auditorium full of people just expressing, this is something that I had a passion for. It has given him the confidence, and he has found his voice, that if he has a passion or an idea, he's not afraid to express it.
By the time the year was over, we had collected over $30,000 in coupons for the military families.
This school helps me find my voice because I get to do service learning projects and give back to people all over the country.
We had another great opportunity come to us last year. I got a call from the superintendent's office, and he said, we have a student that needs to come to school in a very unique way. And I said, well, describe unique to me. And he said, well, he has some health issues that prevent him from attending class. He would be in his home, but he would be Skyped in to the classroom. So in my mind, I'm envisioning a computer with Skyping a student in like you would do anyone. And he said, no, this is different, Kathy. He's going to have an avatar, and he's going to be able to remotely control where he goes in the building. And for us, It was very important for him to be immersed in a school environment.
The children interact with Devin just like they would interact with anybody else. They ask him about his day, they talk about jokes.
Just like every student in the classroom has a classroom job, he had a classroom job. He got to walk the attendants down to the office.
One of the jobs we gave him was to be a greeter. He can also be an office helper. He'll come down and he'll call the buses at the end of the day. I think what I've noticed about him is that he is really a take-charge person. He comes up with great ideas with what service learning projects they should be doing in the classroom. It's just amazing to watch how he's grown, and even his mom would tell you that.
If it was not for Winchester's practicing as faithfully as they do, the leader in me, Devin would not be at the point that he's at. He wouldn't be a success. He wouldn't be in the classroom setting 5 days a week. He wouldn't have a rapport with the teachers. He wouldn't have a rapport with the students in the classroom.
For him, all those things that overlap for somebody to find their voice and really make a difference, he's experiencing each and every day. Olivia, who is a very special student, is a selective mute.
It started in preschool. She had never spoke a single word. When she came to kindergarten, she said one word, and everyone looked at her, and it scared her, so she never spoke again.
We really had never worked with a student like that before. In kindergarten, she didn't talk to anyone. So we knew we were working with something that was very delicate and something that was very unique and special.
I don't know why it happens or what causes her to do it, because when she goes home, she's fine, and when she comes to school, she just completely shuts down.
The very first time I heard Olivia's voice was actually kind of touching. She gave me a Christmas gift, and it was, I'll never forget it, and I still have it. It's a red ornament, one of those recordable ornaments. She recorded, "Merry Christmas, Mrs. Ducote, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas." The very first time I heard her voice, and I started crying. And I walked around the building showing it to other teachers just so that we could all hear her voice, and she has such a beautiful voice.
In second grade, a breakthrough, she started to email the teacher, so that was different. And she still was whispering to certain friends, but when I would try to talk to her that, she just would look at me with those big brown eyes and not say anything. Third grade was huge for us. In third grade, she was in the classroom. She would still email the teacher, still whisper to her friends, but when it got close to Leadership Day and the teacher asked for volunteers to get up on the stage to explain one of the habits, Olivia raised her hand to let the teacher know she wanted to be one of the habit speakers. And the teacher was shocked. She came to me and she goes, "What are we going to do?" She says, I don't know if Olivia can do that. She's never spoken.
She understood Leadership Day from the previous year, so, and I, talked to her about she could have her script in front of her. She didn't have to memorize it.
Well, she said she was going to do it, and I didn't believe her. My whole family was just shocked. We'd never thought that she would do it.
When I met with all the students that were going to present at Leadership Day, I just said, "What habit would you like to do?" Olivia raises her hand. She says, "Habit number 8." And I really paused. And I said, "Do you know what habit 8 is?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Find your voice."
The day before, she was really nervous about it, and I was like, she's not going to do this.
Exercise my brain. I do this by reading my 3 favorite books, Green Eggs and Ham, Goodnight Moon, and my habit book that I wrote. Hi, my name is Olivia Santos Smith, taught this 3rd grade class. Habit 8 is find your voice. The essence of this habit is that you could say you're 100% involved in what you're doing with your life.
When she came out and said that she found her voice, it was like, wow, she really found her voice. And it just made me feel really happy and proud.
Our vibe is the grand sum of you that sets you apart, your body and brains plus your spirit and heart.
Every one of these kids have potential to greatness. I've always told the students that when you apply all of the 7 habits, you get to the 8th habit because you find your voice. And as I've taught them how to apply the habits in their life and how they found their voice, I found my voice. And it's a great place to be.
My name's Cooper, and I'm a leader.
My name is Devin, and I am a leader.
My name is Olivia, and I'm a leader.
So staff, that video is a tribute to you and your influence on other teachers in ways none of us, I think, can even fathom that we're making that kind of difference, that you're making that kind of difference. You heard other children talk about their passions. Now it's time for you to hear our children talk about theirs. Now this is where I'm going to need to have some audience participation. I want you to ask them any question you want to ask them. Any question, right, boys and girls? Okay, because this is how you'll see this model in action and the impact that this model has. So we have boys and girls that are in the group that aren't part of the panelists, but we want you to get up anyway. We only had a certain number of these high-top chairs, but that doesn't mean that we can't all just stand around. So if you're a panelist, if you'll get in the chairs, please. And if you are a student, we want you to come and be part of this. If you're a student at Combs, and you would like to, if you would like to. You just stand over here. And anyone is welcome to answer any question. We're going to remember our manners, yes ma'am, no ma'am, answering complete sentences, and have great eye contact. We're going to sit up nice and tall, nice and tall. Okay, fire away. Dr. Branch.
I would like to ask the young man in that lovely blue shirt in the middle, what's your name? William, describe for us a typical day at school.
A typical day at school would be, well, any type of day at school. You arrive at school, you go to your classroom, and then you start learning. You learn all through the day, then you have lunch and recess, and then you learn a little more. And after that, it's dismissal, and the next day, it's same thing. Well, sometimes different, a little. Other days would be leadership day, or other days like you have to go out early to do something, and really that's most every day at school.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing about your school? The favorite thing about my school is, well, learning. When I get to school, I'm so eager to learn. I'm always prepared. In my book bag, I have everything I need. And, well, it's just learning.
Would anybody else like to add on to that question? Shannon?
I have graduated AB Combs, but my favorite part about going to AB Combs that I have continued on to my school, Cary Academy, is always coming in with a smile and getting a smile in return. The first day I went into Cary Academy, I remember smiling at everyone, and of course the teachers would smile at you, but most of them weren't expecting a smile back because everyone would be nervous. It's the first day at middle school when you've been at elementary school the whole time and you really don't feel prepared right away. But I walked in and I remembered I can do this because I went to AB Combs. And with that, I smiled at everyone, and I think I started off the day really well because so far so good.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Bottomley.
I'd like to ask this question of the young lady in the leftmost chair. I would like to know something, the other left.
Other left.
I would like to know something that you learned recently that made you excited.
I learned that my principal was receiving the Friday Award. it made me very happy and honored to be at that school and excited for her. And it was a really good thing to learn.
Yes, Mr. Fletcher.
Would you tell us about your data notebook and what you use that for?
What I use in my data notebook, we have our wigs, and we have our academic goals, and we also have our partners, which they help us with our book, and they help us with our academic goals while we start learning and start reading our academic goals and finding our voice.
Okay, Nancy Mangum.
So I know that you all have superheroes at home, right? Isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm curious to know if Mrs. Summers was a superhero, who would she be and why? And it can be one that you invent.
Aiden.
And anybody can answer that.
I think she should be someone that, so the superheroes all represent something in my mind, and I think Miss Summers' superhero should represent finding your voice.
Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, Dr. Colbert. Okay, DeAndre.
I think technology is a good source of education because some kids get tired of all day writing with pencils, and sometimes it's just a little plain. But we do educational stuff on technology like 10 marks, and that helps us improve our math. And we do Achieve 3000, which helps us with reading. So I think it's something different, but that really helps. It just changes everything and makes the day go a little bit better when there's other stuff to look forward to. Thank you.
I think that technology also helps us because it's also fun while we are learning, and also it's more of the 21st century kind of learning besides using paper and pencil. I think it's more fun and to learn while you're actually doing it. Thank you.
I have actually graduated Combs, and I am now in middle school. And technology definitely helps you in middle school because most of what you do in class are either worksheets or taking notes, and you usually take notes based on what the teacher says. But at my school, we have Promethean boards, which is almost the same thing as smart boards, which gives us a better visual aid as to what we're learning about rather than just listening to our teacher and writing it down. And it also helps us with our homework assignments because a lot of what we have to do in our homework, our teacher did not go over in class, and they expect us to learn about it ourselves at our house using technology.
Okay, let's do a couple of more questions. Yes, Julie. Dr. Crane.
At Combs, what I learn is literacy, learning about how to use words, math, just learning how to add, multiply, divide. Well, multiply and divide in third grade. Enough. And subtract. And in science, learning about motion, time, and other things. Okay. And also well, really, that's all I can say for right now. I want to get some.
Okay, Dr. Crane, would you repeat the question? Okay, Will, you can pass the microphone.
One of my biggest challenges is that me and my sister don't always get along. And to me, when I'm in that situation, I use the Covey habits and I stop and I think about what I can do and I'm being proactive. And then I synergize with my sister and she synergizes with me and we come up with a solution.
I think that one of the Covey habits, put first things first, helps me at home to know what I have to do first, like for instance with my homework or if I want to go play outside. I know that my homework is my major priority and I need to get that done first, just like the habit, put first things first. Thank you.
One of the habits that really helps me at home is seek first to understand and to be understood. Well, not necessarily at home, but actually playing sports. Because not everybody has the same equal amount of skills, so they might have skill in different things. Like, I play basketball. Some people might have more skill in ball handling, while some people might have more skill in shooting and defense. So you have to use the skills, the leadership skills that you learn to adapt to the players on your team to make your team better and to synergize with your team and get everybody included so that you can win games.
Okay, let's do one more question from the audience. Yes.
You're already begun to answer my question. I was going to ask if there were some examples of where you apply the Covey principles, and I'm wondering if some of the other students have some examples also.
Okay, let's have someone who hasn't had an opportunity to speak yet. Aiden, would you like, okay?
Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, it's just asking in what ways are an example of when you thought about the Covey principles and they helped you deal with some situation.
Well, my teacher, Mr. Sherlin, sometimes his face gets red and he yells and he gets mad, but I just think of seek first to understand because I can get his feelings. Like when he tells people not to talk, he means it. And I seek first to understand because I get his feelings because I get red-faced sometimes when people don't understand me.
Yes, and Mr. Sherlin just has a booming voice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
He just projects very well. That's right. Okay, someone else. I would like, if we could, very quickly, if you, this is where you have to listen very carefully. And this is for our children who have not had an opportunity to answer something. If you would give one word to define outstanding leadership, what would that word be? When you think of great leadership, great leaders, what words come to mind? And just pass it down.
Well, I think some of the words that would come to my mind are leadership, discipline.
Pass it to Aiden.
Can you repeat the question again, please?
An adjective that describes great leadership.
Well,
Nicholas said discipline. What would you say?
I would say be you.
Great leaders are what? Great leaders are disciplined. What's another word, Alex?
Friendly.
Friendly.
Loyalty.
They're loyal. Wonderful.
They have courage.
A great leader does what, Ella Claire?
They be nice to someone.
They're nice. Wonderful.
They're passionate.
They share.
Great leaders do what, Ella Bella? Phone a friend. Phone a friend right beside you, Emily. Can you all synergize and come up with something together? Are they fun? Are leaders fun?
They're sweet.
They're sweet. There you go.
I think that leaders understand like other people's feelings, so then they won't like hurt someone else's feelings. And
so great lessons in leadership from the mouths of the babes. Thank you, boys and girls, so much. You all can go back to your seats. Oh, I have to be the proudest principal ever. Thank you, boys and girls, for sharing your thoughts and for displaying what great courage is all about. I think we can all agree that our future is in great hands if these students are at the helm. In closing, Winston Churchill once said, "To every person, there comes that special moment when he is tapped on the shoulder to do something special, something unique, something that could change the world." Our children are counting on us to make things better for them, to pave the way so that their futures are full of hope and promise. Assembled in this room this afternoon are great minds, creative thinkers, innovators, and great visionary leaders. The greatest tribute we can make to the mission of the Friday Institute and to the legacy of our state's great educational heroes, Terry Sanford, Governor Hunt, and William Friday, is to come up with the next big idea for education. I was recently reminded of our community's circle of influence when I received a phone call from the Lego Corporation in Billund, Denmark. They wanted to come to the Triangle for innovation and inspiration. The three places that they wanted to visit were the Friday Institute, the Hunt Library, and A.B. Combs Elementary. As recently as today, Dr. Steve Edwards from Washington, D.C., and Mr. Sandy Huda from India also requested a visit to the Triangle area. The three places they wanted to visit were NC State University, the Hunt Library, and A.B. Combs Elementary School. I think we often take for granted the impact that North Carolina State University, the Friday Institute, and the Wake County Public School system has on others. We really are at the epicenter of education, technology, and progressive thinking. Friends, it is not only our responsibility, but also our obligation to do for this generation what has been done for us. We're being tapped on the shoulder to seize the moment and to make a difference. Where better for this big idea to be born than in the state where it is more important to be rather than to seem. Our time is now. Thank you so much for this honor. Thank you so much, teachers, children, parents, and to all of you who have had such an incredible impact on my life. This award is for all of us this afternoon. Thank you again so much.
I wrote this song in honor of Miss Summers and all the leaders that have impacted our generation. This song is called Legacy. There's a light that shines in you, reflected in the lives you've touched. There is hope for us because of you, and we will lead because you've led us, inspired us. Next generation scientists and presidents and healers. Oh, you've shaped us to make the change, to shine the light, to make the world a better place. 'Cause you're the light that guides me when I'm feeling lost. And you have shaped the future with everything you've taught. Everything that I have learned from this has made me who I am, because the ones who really make a difference are the leaders in our lives every day that guide us. Now the world is in good hands because our hands were touched by you, and on this journey you will be the lanterns that shine the light, so we can make the world a better place. 'Cause you're the light that guides me when I'm feeling lost. And you have shaped the future with everything you've taught. And we're your legacy, we're walking hand in hand. Through your inspiration, we'll show the world we can. You've shown us the way, you are the leaders of today, and we're your legacy, we'll be the leaders of tomorrow. You're the light that guides me when I'm feeling lost. And you have shaped the future with everything you've taught. 'Cause you're the light that guides me when I'm feeling lost. And you have shaped the future with everything you've taught. And we're your legacy, we're walking hand in hand. Through your inspiration, we'll show the world we can.
Wow, that was wonderful, Lacey. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Glenn Kleiman, the Executive Director here. Feeling so proud of our institute and our College of Education and of NC State. As Jane Fleener mentioned, I was very worried I would not be able to be here today. Last Friday, I got an invitation to be at the White House this morning when President Obama was announcing a new initiative around technology and learning in future-ready schools. And I was really split because I did not want to miss this day. But knowing Muriel's magic, I managed to be at the White House from 10 to 12 this morning, catch a flight, and something that has never happened to me before happened, which I believe is due to Muriel. Have any of you ever had a flight from Washington, D.C. to Raleigh get in early? So I'm so pleased to be here. So much has been said so eloquently. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Jane, Hiller, of course, Muriel. Your students, I think the students deserve another round of applause. And I'm sure many of you know, because we have many parents, we have teachers, we have people who've worked with Muriel and A.B. Combs in many ways, that these were not a few selected students. These students represent what the students at A.B. Combs are all like. Visit the school, talk to them. They are articulate, they are mature, they are ready to greet you, and they take such pride and such ownership in the school. I have to tell you, Muriel, if you, since you put us in the category you said for visitors, with the Hunt Library, A.B. Combs, and the Fry Institute, we are so proud to be part of that combination. Thank you so much. As many of you know, there are 3 words that are on our walls in many places here: educate, innovate, and inspire. And we now have, Muriel is our 10th recipient of the Friday Medal. Ken Branch was our first, which I think is a very appropriate pouncing. I don't know which number Bill McNeil was, but he was one of them. I had to convince him that he really was getting it. He didn't believe us, I remember that. But each of the people we have, some are researchers, some are policymakers, some are practitioners, which reflects the range of our work at the Fry Institute. But each one educates, innovates, and inspires. And certainly, Muriel, you're an inspiration to so many of us. And I've just been thinking about that as I sat and listened, and things that I've heard and learned from prior recipients of the Friday Medal that seem very appropriate here. Betty Manchester, a dear friend who led the work in Maine on technology and education, was one. And I remember asking Betty about why do things work well in some schools and not others? Why does innovation really take hold in some places and not others? And she said, Glenn, there are 3 reasons: leadership, leadership, and leadership. Muriel very graciously acknowledges her wonderful staff and all the impact people have had, but we know it's leadership that recruits wonderful staff. It's the leadership that supports the staff to become as great as they can be and keeps them in the school and engages them in ongoing growth. So I think Betty's comment of leadership, leadership, leadership certainly applies here. Some of you may have heard a few years ago when David Rose was here, a wonderful researcher who has lots of impact around concepts of universal design of learning. And his original work was very focused on the cognitive dimension. But in recent years, he talked about how it's become very clear to him that great education depends on bringing together the cognitive, the social, and the emotional aspects of education. And Muriel and her school represent that so well. And finally, Governor Hunt, who had hoped to be here today but wasn't able to. We also awarded him the award some time back. I think he deserved it too, don't you agree? In fact, I've said at times one of the great privileges I've had is to get to know both Mr. Friday and Governor Hunt. And one of the most intimidating times I've had is when I had to get up here and speak between the 2 of them, which was, and I took the good strategy of keeping it very brief. But one of the lessons of leadership Governor Hunt has talked about is you can't lead them unless you love them. And I think you've all seen the deep, deep love that Muriel has for each and every student that she and her school ever touch. So I could go on, but I think I would like to ask our beloved friend Ann Goodnight, who's done so much for so many, to come up, and Muriel to come up. And Muriel, it is a great honor and privilege for all of us to award you the 2014 Friday Medal for Educational Innovation. It gives us such joy to have you join the club of our medalists. Thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you so much, Muriel, for your love, your leadership, and your vision. I visited the school with Bill Friday and Hiller, my first visit, and it was awesome. But I still thought, they're just showcasing the prodigies, right? I've been back twice for similar Leadership Day visits, and it's just the most incredible school visit I've ever had. Thank you for your great work.
Well, and thank you all for joining us. We have a reception. We hope you'll stay. I'll ask the folks in the first row, and Ken and Bill, if you could join us too, just for some quick photographs. But please join us in the reception. And in response to your comments, Ken, a few tears really are allowed. This is a wonderful, emotional day. So lots of hugging, lots of tears, lots of good food. Please join us in the lobby, and some of us will take some quick pictures and be right out. Thank you all.